Hi, I'm Stephen Patterson from Matisse Derivan, and today we're going to talk about varnishes. How to use them and why you would use them. We've got three varnishes here. We've got the water-based polyurethane. This is a very hard varnish and it's heat resistant, so it's used a lot for decorative purposes. The next in line is the water-based acrylic varnishes. Now these are probably the most versatile. You can use these with your paint, you can use them as a size for gold gilding. You can use them as a glue, and you can use them also as a varnish. We'll use these in a second on this picture here, just adding a little bit of water. We'll talk about that in a sec. And then thirdly, we have the solvent-based acrylic. Now this varnish is a conservation varnish. You'd apply it when you want to be able to remove the varnish. It also has UV inhibitors in it, and the copybook way of finishing off a picture is to put down the water-based acrylic varnish first, obviously leaving it to dry, and then a coat of the solvent-based varnish over the top. The solvent-based varnish will then protect the painting to the fullest extent. Down the track, conservators can actually strip this varnish off. The water-based varnish will afford the picture some protection, physical protection, and then they'd apply another coat of the solvent-based varnish. So I'm going to go ahead and mix some of this water-based polymer gloss varnish just with some water. Usually about 10 or 15%, but you can mix up to equal parts water. I'm just going to add a little bit in there to thin it out. This varnish is quite a thick varnish. As I said before, for use as a glue and as sizing. So we just want to thin it down a little bit because you're much better off putting thin coats of water-based varnish on, lots of thin coats of water-based varnish, rather than one thick one. Now just be careful when you're mixing it in, not to get too many bubbles or too much air in the varnish. The sort of brush you're going to use is a nice soft, generally hair brush, but you can use many different brushes. People even use soft rags. The main thing is we're going to try and get a nice even finish. Now there are two schools of thought here on varnishing. One is that you should put one coat of varnish on in one direction and then go and put the coat on in the other direction. The other school of thought is to go in both directions. It doesn't much matter, whatever you're happy with. So we're putting this on nice and thin now, going in both directions and just working the area and not getting too many bubbles in there. Try and keep the edge wet and keep just working methodically across the picture. And what we'll do at the end is we'll just have a little look from the side and make sure we've covered the whole piece. You'd want 2 or 3 coats of this watered down varnish on here. Now with the water that you use, there we go, I'm just going to have a look at the side here, make sure it's fairly even, so that's nice and even. With the water that you use, you can just use normal tap water. However, if you're going to make up a mixture and keep the mixture, I've still got quite a bit left here, so I could put that in a jar, but the water I need to use, if I'm going to do that, needs to be distilled, or you can make your own distilled water or clean water by filling a pot, cooking it on the stove, bringing it to the boil for 3 minutes. It's got to be about 3 minutes. It has to be boiling, and then of course waiting for the water to cool off. Okay, thank you for joining us today, talking about varnishes.